They erased the Sudanese pyramids from history shorts. In 1821, the Nubian pyramids of Sudan numbered over 200, nearly double Egypt's. But Western archaeology erased them from the story of civilization, and the reason why is darker than the desert that buried them. Here's what they never told you. South of Egypt, along the Nile, stood the Kingdom of Kush. Its capital was Meroë. Its kings didn't imitate Egypt. They ruled it. For nearly a century, Kushite pharaohs sat on Egypt's own throne, the 25th Dynasty, conquering north instead of being conquered. When they came home, they kept building. Not a handful of monuments, a skyline, over 200 pyramids, steep and narrow, packed into the sand at Meroë and Nubian. Egypt has around 118. Sudan has almost double. Most people alive today have never heard the name Kush. That's not an accident of interest. That's the first clue. Here's the strange part. These pyramids aren't Egyptian copies. Steeper, smaller, sharper. A different style entirely, built centuries after Giza was already ancient, even to the Kushites. Inside, kings and queens were buried with gold, with iron weapons, with inscriptions in a script called Meroïtic, so unique that nobody has ever fully translated it. We can read the letters, we can't read the meaning. An entire empire writing down its own history, and modern scholars still can't open the book. That alone should be a headline mystery, taught in every world history class. It isn't. For over a century after these pyramids were rediscovered, they weren't studied. They were looted. Not by random grave robbers working in secret, by a man with a shovel, dynamite, and nobody standing in his way. In 1834, an Italian doctor named Giuseppe Ferlini arrived at Meroë hunting for gold. So he did the fastest thing possible. He started at the top of each pyramid and blew it off, brick by brick, chasing burial chambers underneath the capstones. He found gold, jewelry, rings, amulets, ripped from a queen's tomb, then sold nearly all of it to European museums within a few years. Behind him, he left roughly 40 pyramids without their tops. Still standing that way today, nearly 2 centuries later. No government intervened. And here's the part that should bother you. This wasn't the strangest thing that happened to Kush. It wasn't even the worst. But here's what doesn't add up. Ferlini didn't hide what he did. He wrote a book about it, bragging about the gold. Museums displayed his loot proudly. This wasn't a secret conspiracy of theft. It was public, celebrated even. Which means the erasure didn't happen because nobody knew about Kush. It happened after they knew. 19th century Egyptologists had already excavated Meroë. They'd already seen the scale of it, 200 pyramids, an independent kingdom, a black African civilization that once ruled Egypt itself for 100 years. And once they saw it clearly, that's exactly when the silence started. Here's the buried why. 19th century Egyptology stood on one unspoken rule. Advanced civilization couldn't have come from Black Africa. Not the pyramids, not the writing, not the empire. So when scholars found Kush, a kingdom of black African pharaohs who conquered Egypt, not the other way around, it broke the rule they'd already decided was true. Their fix wasn't to update the theory. It was to shrink the kingdom. Kush got quietly rebranded as a lesser copy of Egypt. A footnote. A colony that borrowed pyramids instead of a power that once ruled the Nile from both ends. Textbooks followed that script for the next 100 years. Egypt got chapters. Kush got a paragraph if it got mentioned at all. Meanwhile, in Sudan itself, British colonial administrators had their own reason to bury it. A story about a black African empire that once conquered its northern neighbor was not a story they wanted circulating among the people they were governing. Erasing Kush wasn't just academic pride. It was about who got to imagine themselves as empire builders and who didn't. Ferlini took the gold. The textbooks took the memory. Both were extraction. Think about what that means for everything else you were taught about ancient Africa. If one of the wealthiest, most literate kingdoms on the continent could be reduced to a footnote, on purpose, by people who'd already seen the evidence, what else got the same treatment? How many other capitals, other scripts, other 200 pyramid skylines are sitting under sand right now, already excavated once, already written up in some dusty 19th century report and then quietly dropped? Kush isn't an isolated case. It's a pattern we just don't name enough. And Meroïtic, the language of an entire empire, is still sitting there, untranslated, waiting. So here's the question nobody's answered. If we can put a rover on Mars, why has no government, no university, ever fully funded the effort to decode a 2,000-year-old African script sitting in plain sight? Is it really that hard, or is nobody in power actually asking?